Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is celebrate. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or meanings for this verb. The first way we use celebrate is to mean to acknowledge an important or happy day or an important or happy event with a social gathering or enjoyable activity. This is probably the most common way that this verb is used. A second way to use the verb celebrate is to mean to perform a religious ceremony. A third way we use the word celebrate is to mean to honor or praise publicly. So you might notice this word has some really positive meanings to it, kind of a happy word. Celebrate is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, we need to drop the E and then add ing to form celebrating. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by just adding D, since this verb already ends in an E. The verb celebrate ends with a T sound. So the past tense ending here is going to make an id sound. Celebrated, celebrated. You might be relieved to know that we don't have any additional meanings or uses for this particular verb in combination with prepositions to make phrasal verbs. So we can move on to talk and practice using celebrate in some different verb tenses. Today, I'm going to make practice sentences in the simple past tense, present progressive, and the simple future. Let's start with the simple past tense. We use this verb tense to talk about actions that were completed at a definite time in the past. In the affirmative, we want to use the past tense form of this verb. Many times we think of this as the ed form of a verb. And this is going to be true no matter what our subject is, whether it's singular, one person, or plural, two or more. Let's take a look at an affirmative example in the simple past tense. His grandma celebrated her 90th birthday last week. If I want to make a negative sentence in the simple past tense, I want to use did not and then the base verb, no ed. Okay? And again, this is true no matter what the subject is. You might hear native speakers use the contraction form didn't. Let's look at an example. They didn't celebrate their graduation this past May. And unfortunately, this sentence is true for a lot of people. Due to the pandemic, they were not able to gather a large group of people together to have a party or some other fun, enjoyable activity. If I want to make a yes or no question in the simple past tense, I want to start with did, then I'll have my subject, and then the base verb. Let's take a look. Did she celebrate her job promotion? Next, let's take a look at present progressive. We use this verb tense to talk about an action that is in progress or an action that is happening now. To make an affirmative sentence in the present progressive, we're going to use a present form of be, that's am, is, or are, and then the ing or progressive form of the verb. Let's take a look at an affirmative example. We are celebrating our 3rd wedding anniversary today. And that's actually a true statement. It's my husband and my wedding anniversary on September 3rd. So that's one reason I picked this verb for the day. If I want to make a negative sentence in the present progressive, I'm going to insert not after the be verb. You might hear the contractions aren't or isn't, and it's okay to use those if you're comfortable with that, but there isn't a contraction with am not. Those always need to be two separate words. Let's take a look at a negative present progressive sentence. He isn't celebrating the accomplishment right now. Finally, we can make a yes or no question in the present progressive by starting with a be form of the be verb. Then we'll have our subject and then the ing form of the verb. Are people celebrating the victory? Finally, let's take a look at the simple future. Today, we're going to use be, going to, and our base verb to share a simple future, event or activity, action, I should say, a future action. When I use my form of be, it needs to be in the present tense. So again, am, is, or are. Let's look at an example. The family is going to celebrate Thanksgiving by cooking and serving a meal to homeless individuals. So, and this might sound funny, but the word family is singular, even though we're referring to generally more than one person. So that's why we're using is there. We have going to and celebrate. We tend to use this form to talk about future plans. I can make a sentence negative in the simple future by inserting not after my be verb. Let's look at an example. They aren't going to celebrate due to the pandemic. Finally, I can make a yes or no question in the simple future by starting with a be verb. Then I'll have my subject, then going to, and then the base verb. Is he going to celebrate his birthday early? Next, let's take a look at some words that are related to our verb celebrate. The first is the noun form, celebration. Its meaning is the action of marking one's pleasure at an important event or occasion by engaging in enjoyable, typically social activity. Let's take a look at this word in a sentence. A large celebration for all the graduates will be held at a later date. The next word we're going to look at is going to look very familiar to you. It should look like the past tense and participle form of our verb. Celebrated could also be an adjective, though. And as an adjective, it means greatly admired. Let's take a look at an adjective form of this word in a sentence. She is one of the most celebrated singers in the world. The last word we're going to look at today is celebratory. It's also an adjective. So for some people, they might be wondering, why do we have two adjectives that are close in meaning? Celebrated is generally going to be used to describe a person or perhaps a group of people. Celebratory, you're going to see here, is likely going to describe an event or thing. Let's take a look at the first definition, or the first way we use the adjective celebratory. And that meaning is used to publicly acknowledge an important or happy day or event. Let's look at this meaning in a sentence. They're holding a celebratory dinner to honor the engaged couple. Right? So two people have decided that they're going to get married, right? That's a happy and important event. So they're going to have a special dinner to publicly acknowledge this news. A second way to use the adjective celebratory is to mean feeling or expressing happiness and pride. Let's look at this meaning in a sentence. Are they in a celebratory mood? So again, are they feeling happy? Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.